Since retiring from playing football and stepping into the media world, it's fascinated me how little people really get to know their footballing heroes, both past and present. Football has put up a barrier that stops the general public from seeing the real them. I've decided to make it my mission to try and break down those barriers, give some insight into the personalities of these athletes that's rarely ever seen. Where better to start than on the outskirts of Reading? No man has ever represented Wales more times. It's time to get to know Chris Gunter. Hello, Chris.
You alright?
I haven't seen you for ages.
Good to see you, mate.
Yeah. Come on.
Coming
in here.
After you, mate. Ooh. Welcome to my golf club.
Mr. Gunter, what a place. How are you, mate?
Very well, thank you. Obviously the weather and training and stuff's hard to get into it and improve. That's my excuse. Your days off are minimal, and I'm probably a perfect example of somebody who's not putting enough in to see the rewards.
Oh, it's been a while, my friend.
Right, let's just get warmed up now, shall we? This is going to look awful on camera.
There you go, Guns. For people from the outside looking into the football world, and they see footballers and the hours they work in the day, you're home by 1, 2 o'clock. It seems as if you've got a lot of time on your hands, but it's all preparing for the next day's training or the next game, and you don't have as much time maybe as people think to come out and enjoy and sort of stroll around London, seeing all the touristy things, do you?
No. Well, like you used to do, slip under the radar a little bit. I think those days are gone now. So no, you can't just do what you want. You know, a part of it is just being boring, going home and not doing a lot. So yeah, you have to give up your favourite things like golf. The only player I know who fits in enough golf to, well, he has improved, would be Gaz.
Yeah.
Well, obviously it helps with the weather he has in Madrid. For the ones who have to concentrate on their football ability a little bit more, I think it's a little bit more difficult than that. But people will always say, "Oh, you're in at 10 and home by 1." It's not the case. It's more like 1:15.
Hey, you don't have to tell me, mate. And then you've got to wait until 1:30 to have your nap, haven't you?
Yeah, it's a nightmare. Sometimes if it goes to 2 o'clock, you're struggling.
Yeah, sitting down watching telly, preparing. You might have a little stretch, a little bit of yoga. There's got to be a little bit of insight. There's got to be something interesting in there.
Now if you see my flexibility. Oh. We know what you was doing when you weren't going home and sleeping.
About Gaz, about Bale. Hasn't he built a little golf course in his garden? Is that the one in Cardiff?
Yeah, he's got 3 holes in his garden. So he's built it in the wrong place. I think he forgot he was in Madrid when he built it in Wales. But I think he's got the 17th from Sawgrass.
Okay. Over
the water. 1 from the Masters Augusta. I think the par 3, like 12th or 13th.
12th, yeah.
You know, and when we go away, that's all he wants to talk about is golf.
Really?
When did you last play? But talking about what clubs you used on certain holes and stuff, he's mad. Normally have like a mini doubles tournament. Loser has to serve soups and dinners at the hotel. It would normally be in a normal squad. It'd be Wayne and Joe.
Yeah.
Me and Rambo, Kingy and Vokesy, and then Gaz is the one who's searching for a permanent one. He's had Tom Lawrence, and last trip he had Joe wasn't there, so Wayne went with Gaz.
Yeah.
Kingy and Vokesy had about 6 days of every lunch and dinner serving soup.
Did they?
Coffees, teas. Gaz and Wayne, who don't really drink tea and coffee, suddenly asking for.
Oh.
So it was a nightmare. So it's a big, it's nice when we go away. And Wayne scratched Gaz's driver.
How did he
do
that?
It. Oh, he just nearly missed the ball at the tee. Gaz weren't so happy about that. It starts off as a bit of a laugh, and then the last few holes turn into a bit more serious. And me and Rambo are still flying high, unbeaten.
Really, unbeaten?
Yeah.
Yeah, congratulations.
Took Wayne and Joe to the cleaners in the summer in America.
You speak about those boys. You're obviously close. You're obviously friends. What is it like for you, whether it's your club, to trust people? Because I think it's a big issue when you're in that football bubble. There's criticism coming left, right and centre at times about who you can trust. How was it for you?
The Wales one speaks for itself. I think there's a big group who have been together for so long now that I don't know how you would describe it other than we just sort of get it, I think, and just know what each other are like. But there's just a real strange uniqueness, I think, of whenever we meet up, we could not see each other for a year, say, and then the first time we're together it would be the exact same. It's really strange. I think if I was to fast forward in years to come, I think I could probably count them on one hand, really, which is strange because you see them every day, you think, oh, he's a good guy, but then you move clubs or they move clubs and suddenly that it just drifts apart almost, which is normal. It doesn't mean you don't get on with them or whatever, but actual real friends in football, I think, well, you would know, probably not many at all.
I haven't got any friends.
No, well, that's the thing.
You're my best friend, Chris.
Yeah, that's why I'm here today. You move to different places, you have kids, families and stuff like that. It's obviously harder anyway. But yeah, there's been some people that I've really got on with and I've moved. And then you never really, see them again almost. So that's why I think if you do get a real mate, it's because it's not just football. There's, you're almost similar personalities, I think, and you really get on with them. Obviously the Welsh boys is different. I think we'll always have that real bond. Maybe Welsh fans and people think, when we get together and we talk about old times, people will probably just assume it would probably be the Euros, and very rarely do the Euros come up. It's more the stranger trips and when we were young, and little funny things that you don't remember, and then Kingy will say or Rambo will say, and then you sort of remember it, and then it's like you start talking about that. So we'll be talking about when we lost to Serbia 6-1, and we're talking about being in the airport at 3 a.m. waiting for the flight home, and what did you do the next day and stuff like that. So because we've been through so much, I think, like you say, there'll always be that bond, and definitely helps us. And because I think there's a group of us that have that, when the younger ones or the new members come in and they just almost feel part of that sort of group. And I think that's why you see when new players come in how easy they find it to settle in, and no doubt because of that, when they get onto the pitch they almost hit the floor running, because they're so comfortable from Monday to Friday or to Saturday. When they go out on the pitch, they've been so at ease all week that they almost feel comfortable. It's not like joining a new team or a new squad, and I think that's a big reason why we've had success over the last couple of years.
A little bash.
What are you using there?
A little 9, yeah. So caps record, got to talk about it, haven't we?
Yeah.
I'll be completely honest, with my 7, I had my little targets. Big Nev's been looking on for a little while.
My aim was to get past Owain Tudur Jones. I'm 7. And I equalled and went past Gary Speed. That was when the next one would be, Nev. To get caps takes a long time almost. It's like I say, not as if you're playing every week.
Yeah.
The only way you get caps really is if you're doing well, because you're not going to get picked to play.
Yeah.
You then have to play well in the game to make sure you play in the next one. So when I came on, obviously against Denmark, really thinking I'm going to play against Albania. So that was then. If I'm doing well, then I'm sure it probably would come. But then that means the team has to be doing well, and so do I. So it was fantastic, though. It's something that I think it's more probably when you finish and you look back and think, because now it's not as if I can just turn around and say, oh well, I did that, and let's just
it's not. It's an ongoing target, isn't it? You don't know where you're going to get to.
You can't. I think when you look back and think I was lucky enough to play that many times, I think that's when it'll be more of a thing to look back on, really.
You've got Casillas in Spain, Schneider at Holland, Buffon for Italy, and Chris Gunter's just snuck in there. But when you could see that total coming, because you would have been aware, as you said, people were talking about it, and then you saw Connor Roberts bursting on the scene. Did you want to strangle him?
I was thinking he's stopping this going on here.
He's not read the script.
No, I think he's done unbelievable actually. Seen him play for Swansea a couple of times obviously this season. There's always two players in every position, and there always has been for Wales. There always will be, and that'll always be the case at the club and everywhere else. So I think it was maybe made more of a thing because I went on such a run of consecutive games, whereas that's not normal. Him alongside the others that have come through, even if you're looking way into the future of Welsh football, then you know it's going to be in real good hands because there's some very, very good players coming through.
I remember you starting off, Guns, this young up-and-comer, no shoulders, pulling his socks over his knees, you know, trying to bulk your legs up a little bit back then, weren't you? Nothing of you. In the blink of an eye, you go from a young player to a senior player. Yeah, and you're seen as almost an old man. I see a few greys developing there.
There's a
couple. You're trying to hide it with a bit of just for men. Just be natural. Let it happen. Mate.
There's no greys, mate.
But how are you now dealing with that? You know, because I bet it feels like only yesterday that you were starting off, but all of a sudden, 30 plus, it's coming.
No, I'm 29.
It's coming. I'm saying it's coming.
I don't enjoy people saying old yet because I don't feel old. I'm not old. I'm 29. Maybe when you get to the big 30.
As soon as you turn 30, people see you in a different way.
Once you turn 30 in football, it's 1 year contracts people are talking about, and
when you're 29, you're at your peak, and then you have one birthday.
It used to be 28, 29 was your peak in football, but once you get to 30, football's changed a little bit. You get people going older. No, I still got a little bit. Still feel miles left in me.
Would you agree that football has changed completely in that almost the power is with the young player? I don't know if it's something that you see even with the international setup now, that at club level, young players have the power because they've got the sell-on ability. Clubs see them as potential business move. They can make money from them. And I think I saw and I experienced a little bit in the dressing room towards the end where they were louder, they were more confident, these young players. It's a big shift.
Yeah, and I think now with social media and stuff, they're more probably entertaining for your fans, if you like, you know, sort of videos and stuff like that. Not all young players, but you get the few. And if you have younger fans coming up who are similar age to them or, you know, younger, it does bring like a freshness and sort of takes you back to when you was a little bit younger. And if you can get the balance right, I think it can be really powerful. I do struggle with the whole sort of social media of played with players in the past who were doing videos on Instagram and Twitter. Yeah, every day they come into the training ground, they didn't say a word. Yeah. So, are you that person or that?
Yeah.
Why are you doing it? If you're sort of a mad or outgoing character, completely fine. I love those type of people, but don't do it on your own, doing a selfie. You know, if you're that, you know, do it for the team as well. So they're the ones I struggle, but you sense that's not going to change because it's just getting more and more. Somehow,
you've got these Wales fans thinking that you're the bee's knees and they love you in this. You're pulling the wool over their eyes, mate. They don't know the real Chris Gunter. You're not that
I'm clever
nice guy.
on social media, no.
But you have got a good relationship with them.
Yeah, I've said in interviews, not on social media, I don't need to go into it on there, but I've said in interviews and stuff, I don't really know what's happened. Can't understand it. People could say now after, well, you're the most capped player, which is fine, but I was saying this a year ago, 2 years ago. I don't understand why. We've got some top players in the squad who, you know, if I was a fan, I'd go pay money to see. So then you always look at yourself as normal and, you know, just a steady Eddie average kind of player, which I think most do, and that's not just, you know, putting yourself down or whatever. So when you get all the support and whatever, I think you can't understand it. I think the one for me was the Denmark home game, when I was on the bench and was coming on. Obviously, Paul was injured, and within sort of a minute I was changed and stood on the side waiting to come on, and to have obviously the whole stadium, but the stand behind the goal, the Canton End, sort of singing, and then I sort of made a head right for a corner, and to me that was like scoring a goal.
Good clearance that.
Because I never get, I know you're probably going to bring it up in terms of hearing the noise of when I score, but yeah, it was like, yeah, it was a good header, but
Yeah.
don't normally get that reaction.
93 caps, 0 goals. I'm sorry to bring it up. What's the closest you've come to scoring?
Well, you're not the first one, mate, so I wouldn't be too apologetic.
There's
You're not the first person to mention that you're actually way off, because it's been mentioned by everyone everywhere, so you think it's going to hurt me. It's not going to hurt me.
Well, the way you're reacting right now, you're being very emotional.
No, I laugh about it.
You're being defensive. You know, I can see the anger.
I'm amazed you've gone there. But come on, what do you want to know?
There's got to be a chance that sticks out. Has there been a chance? I don't know, 0 goals, it might be 0 chances.
There's been 93 chances.
There's got to be a couple of chances that stick in your mind and think, oh,
do you know the one that got me was in the last game against Albania, where you could hear the fans behind the goal singing if Gunter scores, we're on the pitch.
Yeah.
And you're thinking, well, you won't be coming on. And then the ball fell to me on the edge of the box, and it wasn't so much a chance, you know. But I've tried to be really clever and it's on my left foot, and don't just swing at it, and you know, because then if it goes over, people will say, oh, he's so desperate to score. So I thought I'd try and bend it around, and this dribble to the keeper. I mean, it's barely made it, and was running back, and there was a couple of the boys on the bench like Gaz Aaron and stuff, and I could just feel them all looking at me, and I was laughing myself, thinking, I bet the camera's on me, it's on Sky.
Yeah.
But they're all saying, no, he's due a goal and all this, and I was laughing.
There's got to be a driving force for this Wales team, especially for you boys who have sampled, you know, the times where things weren't going great. The following wasn't what it is now, and this red wall that's been created by the fans. That's got to be a driving force. You don't want to go back to those days.
No, you do feel that it's a long way from that. We'd have to go on a pretty bad run.
Yeah.
Not to say it can happen, because before that spell it was probably going quite well then. But no, we've probably been through everything. We've been, well, when I first got in, crowds were quite good. Things were going quite well. We were still at the Millennium Stadium, and
still had gigs. Bellamy was playing.
You know, we was getting sort of 40,000-50,000 at the Millennium. So, and then it just took a plummet almost. I don't know if you played. We had 2 games at Llanelli. We had Bosnia and Luxembourg.
Yeah.
There couldn't have been more than 1,000 there, and you were thinking, like, this is international football. This is not what it's meant to be. But when we have a home game now, even though it's at Cardiff, it's almost like an event. You see, you know, the fans are there before early, and you know people want to go there, and they all seem to meet up with each other. So yeah, that would be a huge motivation if we was ever thinking we was getting back to that point. Because as you know, there were some tough gigs on. Good
trips, but low points in terms of performance in it.
We had some horror ones. We had some tough.
What do you remember?
Without thinking about it, Serbia would stick out. Serbia would stick out like a sore thumb. Losing 6-1 in any game, but I think it was almost at the start of a group, so there was still that, you know, if we can get off to a good start, we would now think, well, you know, if we play well, there's a good chance that we can get something. Whereas before, no, there wasn't that belief probably. It didn't mean you went into the game and didn't care because you think, oh, we're going to lose anyway. I think throughout my time in Wales, the effort of the players on the pitch or the squad is the exact same when I first come into what it is now. It just helps that we're in a much better place. But no, we had some tough things. That I felt it more for the home games.
Yeah.
When it was like no one's really interested. There's not, you know, you're getting 6,000 on a Saturday afternoon for an international game. Something somewhere's not going right. You know, now when you go home, people are asking for tickets. You know, they know, is he fit? You want to know everything. Whereas before,
you feel like whatever the crowd would have been for those games, they were turning up because they had to, because they supported Wales through thick and thin. Doesn't matter what the results were, they weren't enjoying it. Whereas now there is excitement, there's build-up, there's joy in watching the national team.
Yeah, even you know, when the draw came out for the Euros now, and a lot of big group of my mates who try and get, well, obviously every home game, but as many away games as they can. First thing they were looking for was flights. They'd probably booked on to 3 or 4 of the games already, because obviously money-wise it's cheaper to do it straight away before it gets closer. That wouldn't have happened before. Now everyone wants to be a part of it, and that's to do with the team doing well, but also because of, I think, what the fans have created. Their own team, really, if you like, their culture off the pitch. Knowing you can go away, you know, two days or a night before an away game, and you're all going to be together. And also the genuine belief then of we're going into groups now where we feel that we can, you know, we really can do something in the group and get to major tournaments. And obviously we got to one, really close to the last one, and I fully believe that we'll do it in the one coming up, and everyone will get back to what we experienced in the summer a couple of years ago.
What game stands out for you then? A favourite game?
The Belgium home in the qualifying group, that sort of famous Friday night, if you like, I think that's when people started to believe we could go on and qualify. That was the first time where I think people thought, you know, this is quite a special time.
This can happen. What's your secret, mate? This is something that I needed 10 years ago. No injuries, hardly ever any injuries, you know, touch wood. The run of games for your club over the years, for the national team, that's probably a big factor to why the fans have sort of made you almost a cult hero, if you like, knowing you're going to turn up, you're going to be there, you're going to perform.
Naps before 1 o'clock, you know? No, I think a little bit of real good fortune. The best bit of advice, or the best sort of saying that was ever said to me, and I think is the one you see a lot around football or life in general, is the harder you work, the luckier you get. And people say, oh, he's lucky that he's that good, or this happened. Maybe it's a little bit of luck, but I think it's because you put into it. So yeah, been very fortunate. Long may it continue with the no injuries and getting picked in squads and in teams, and still get home for your sleep at 2 o'clock, mate. Yeah.
Beautiful. Whereas I was used to the afternoon rehab double session.
You had a few.
You know what you're saying there? Are you saying I didn't work hard enough?
No, good fortune. Listen, not everyone can do it.
What are you trying to say, Chris? Just spit it out.
Well, maybe if he was down the pub every night at 8 o'clock, you would never admit it, but maybe he was. Maybe it's just it's come back around, mate. I'm not sure. Listen, only you'll know. You have to live with that. It's massive, isn't it?
You like your pool, don't you, Gunt?
I like pooling.
We had a few battles on the pool table.
I remember. It was up in
Champneys.
Yeah.
How you say it?
Yeah.
Before Holland away, yeah?
Yeah.
Scared you, didn't I? I'll be honest.
First to 8, I think it was.
I'll be honest. You came up trumps, mate. You were the victor, but I could see the fear in your eyes.
Should have gone to Riley's. No, that is ridiculous. It's bonkers, that.
And that was the one you almost missed, wasn't it? Holland?
Yeah. I had to call Chris Coleman up and tell him that I was available. I don't know what happened there. I think the Reading physio told him I was injured. And then the squad came out, and I was thinking, oh, I'm not in the squad. What have I done? So I called him.
How's Big Owen in there before me?
I was told you was injured mush, so I left you out. And I was like, no, I'm fine. So you won't get that on either.
Oh, come on. It's embarrassing. Give me your favourite team talk. Is there one that springs to mind from a manager that really got the team going?
It was before the Russia game with Chris Coleman, where, because we had the England game a couple of days before, I probably said it in interviews and probably to you on the podcast if you wanna download it. Whereas he just said before the game and he used to say a lot, to be fair, we don't know what the score is going to be. Just go out there and focus on the performance and just do everything you can to get the result, if you like, and being the last game in the group. He said if we get on the plane to go home tomorrow, you just decide how you want to go out of the tournament. And I think when he was almost saying, like, when we get on the plane, if we get on the plane tomorrow, because obviously it could have all been over, whereas managers will normally talk about we're going to win and all this type of stuff, where he never really spoke about the result. He just said, just you decide how whenever we go out, whether it's tonight or obviously it ended up being a lot later on, you decide how you want to almost go out and go and play. And if we go out, then you won't really have any regrets. He was very good at team talks. Yeah. He sort of just knew what to say and when to say. There was times where you wanted him to go more.
What, spine tingling or?
Yeah, and remember, like, Ashley Williams loves all the sort of like big talks, and I think there was times where he was saying, "Come on, Gaffer," like you knew it was in him. You wanted him to say, "Go and do this, do that," but he sort of held it back a little bit, I think, because he knew they were big games anyway. You didn't need to be motivated, but there were certain times, where he would say stuff, and the Bosnia away game, when we obviously did qualify, but we lost. Just before in the hotel, we watched a video of fans of what it would mean to qualify. It was about 3 minutes long. You had men crying, saying if we ever got to a major tournament, and then it was obviously dark, so on the projector, and then the video finished. Gaffer Coleman was stood at the back and just said, "Let's go have a tear up." Nice. And walked out, and everyone was like, "Oh, come on." So, he was really good at it.
Just his delivery as well, I suppose, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's the accent and the way he sort of stands there, and he was very good at that.
Beautiful. Top man, Guns.
Cheers, mate. Good to see you.
Oh.
There's no regrets, but it was harder for me watching that Portugal game than being involved. I was more nervous sitting on the side watching it than in any of the games that I'd played.